I'm going to start, if I can, with the update on our budget. As everybody knows, we start in the mayor's office working with our department heads probably end of July, or beginning of July. We work about 2 months working with them. They do a great job of talking with their folks, trying to figure out, and again, focused on our mission statement, which in paraphrasing is to work on improving quality of life by taking the money that you as citizens trust us with and stretching that as far as we can to make the biggest possible impact we can in your daily lives. And I think we do a great job of that. They then roll that up to us. We take a little bit of time, meet with department heads, and in turn, I guess the last week, presented that to the Finance Committee, who then will eventually present that to the full council. So just to give everybody just kind of a quick idea, you know, I started last year with this slide, and I wanted to keep this slide in here because still, again, you know, Money Magazine named Madison the 12th best city to live in the nation. It's the #1 zip code. Right now we're sitting in number one zip code in the state of Alabama, something we're really proud of. You know, it goes back to you don't look for trophies in this job. You look to keep doing your job. But when you obtain things like that, it really makes you happy that you're working with a team of people and that people love living here. And I know that they do. With that said, they ask us to continue to work hard for them and to take the revenues that they give us and stretch it as far as we can. Guys, it starts with our employees, and that's where we started our budget this year. So for the 6th straight year, our employees will receive a step increase. I say that our budget has in it, and council will make the final approval of it. Let me just say that we will recommend to council, and we did to the Finance Committee, for the 6th straight year, a step increase. We also, for the 6th straight year, will look to not increase the premium payments to our employees. That's at least about $225,000 a year that the city basically subsidizes to make sure that our employees are well taken care of. We also will ask for a 3% COLA, as from an inflationary standpoint, we've seen what's happened, and we want to help in any way we can to make a difference. You know, it starts with our employees. We continue to do an incredible job of doing more with less, and we have added employees as we've grown, but we do it in a way that's smart. This year, we're looking to add 14 employees. 4 of those would be in police. 6 would be in recreation, and that's recreation and/or senior center. 2 of which would be for grass cutting. And one of the areas that we have found this year is in our neighborhood parks, because that's contracted out and they're struggling with workforce. We've fallen behind on that. So again, Corey Alford and his team basically, hey, we have the mowers. If you can get us 2 additional people that could not only help us in neighborhood parks, but we could kind of rotate through, they would look to add 2 people that they could help with that. We also, in those 14 number, would look to add a facility manager. Dustin Riddle and his team do a great job out of the building department, but with the additional facilities that we have coming on board, we need someone who can full-time look at managing those facilities. It gives Dustin the ability to work with his team on code enforcement and inspections and the different things that go on there. Engineering has asked for, and we without question agree, we need a CIP project manager. The best one we have by far is Mary Beth. Any project that she has, whether it's library or the $46 million multi-use venue, come in under budget. But as we've grown and as these projects come up, from road projects especially, we need someone that can be there each and every day looking to manage those projects. We're looking to add a person in communications, and that would be out of the mayor's office. Samantha does a very, very good job, but as we've continued to grow as a city, we want to make sure that we continue to add value to our community by continuing to communicate in the best possible way that we can. And then one other that's a critical position, but it's not one of those numbers there, but it's going to be added, is a bid and a purchase manager. And we handle that in-house. Roger Bellamy and his team in finance will look to initially take that on. It was run out of our legal department. The legal will move that over to finance. Finance will manage that. You know, that's a critical component, one, to bid it appropriately from a legal side, but before you even get to the bid, you have to have a scope of work that covers all the different pieces that could possibly be needed, and we're going to look to, I won't say revamp it, we're going to look to make it the best that it can possibly be by adding someone that's a complete focus on that. We also have a huge community investment. There's about $2.25 million for capital purchases. That's a fire truck, that's your police cars, public works equipment, recreational equipment. It's IT requirements that are needed to keep us cyber safe and the things that they need. So a big investment there. $600+ to support our schools for SROs and crossing guards. You know, every school this year is covered. You know, one of the things that the community invested in that we're still extremely proud of is the millage increase that was for schools, but a portion of that was also for safety. So they were able to add some things from their side where we're able to add it from our side, and we continue to, subsidize that to make sure it's safe. About $650,000 subsidy to our Madison Library. A big investment in our community. We know how much we value education. We want to make sure that they continue to have what they need. About $8.2 million set aside for land and or facilities. That may change a little bit. We've got a walk-on tonight that, you know, I don't ever want to surprise council, but one of the things that's happened more quickly, and we'll just explain why, is we may need to look to do something there that in turn helps the community with some of the things that are needed. But one of the other ones would be public safety. We know we eventually need another fire station, possibly a police substation. We're looking to make a big difference when it comes to public safety. And then there's outside appropriations, outside agencies of over $500,000 in this budget, about a 50% increase to our Madison Chamber of Commerce, a 33% increase to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Let me give you an example of where that makes a big difference. This year you'll hear that at Toyota Stadium on October 15th, they're going to play a Division I football game. Jacksonville State will play UNA. That was brought to us by the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And so because of that, we're looking, you know, there's probably a six-figure possibility of profit that we split with Ball Corps. That makes a big difference for our community. We want to continue to invest in that. Madison Visionary Partners has shown their value in a big way by obtaining well over or close to $500,000 for Kids Kingdom through community donations. So we want to continue as we look to eventually figure out the funding for our community center for a lot of different projects. They will help us obtain that. It's a 501c3 that focuses on areas of importance to the city where folks can in turn give money that's tax deductible but also helps our city. 50% increase in the enrichment center. That's counseling that's needed at the schools. You know, we continue to see that, and then a 50% increase in the Partnership for Drug-Free Community. So again, an investment in our community organizations that focus on things with a more laser beam focus than we do from a generic side. A lot of different projects are in there. You know, two of the top ones, or three of the first two, neighborhood repaving. You know, one of the struggles we have right now is spending our money. You know, getting the folks in here to pave is difficult. There's a lot of different opportunity out there. So again, we have 2001, 2002 projects, and then we're adding 2003. We have a little over $1 million a year set aside each year for neighborhood repaving. We want to try to do everything we can to get caught up and then spend that money to make a difference in our neighborhoods. A complete redo of Madison Boulevard from County Line to Zert. That's going to be a big community impact, not only to move traffic, but to make it more accessible and help with economic development. Waltrana restriping is a carryover from last year. There's only one restriping company in North Alabama, and we in turn trying to get them here is difficult, so that will make a difference in safety. Hughes Road, Halsey turn lanes, Sullivan Street and Madison Boulevard intersection are both to support Journey Middle School, so we'll look to do that. Waltrana and Gooch intersection and sidewalk. So that's an area, you know, as we look to continue to connect our city, those are areas and neighborhoods that can't necessarily get to the greenways. This would be an area where we can help accomplish that, get them over to the sidewalk that's already on the eastern side of Waltrana and eventually to the Hughes sidewalk and different places there. I won't go through the rest of them. There's a lot of different things. This will be on our website starting tomorrow so folks can get to that. Additional other projects. The top one there, multiple traffic signal upgrades. So one of the best ways, if you either add lanes or you make a big impact in your intersections, and so in the ability to add technology to our signal boxes where we can manage that and make adjustments on the fly, we have to add the hardware that's needed in a lot of those boxes, and there's money in for that. We'll complete Garner Street, start the projects of design for the three-laning of Browns Ferry out on the west side, Seegers and I guess they say Michelle. The Kaiser Greenway connection. So basically the developer is responsible for getting the Bradford Creek Greenway under the railroad tracks and then down to the end of his property. This would take it from the end of his property on Kaiser all the way down to Sullivan Street, eventually connecting the Bradford Creek Greenway with historic downtown Madison. Sidewalk at Lime Quarry, Palmer Park Phase 2 design. So where we've completed the new fields at Phase 1, we would look to design the next phase at Palmer Park in Field 2. A lot of neighborhood park improvements. We know the value that that has, changing out equipment, adding equipment. And then one of the things I have on here is the Palmer Park field turf planting. You know, Corey, I basically asked him, do we keep that in there? He said, absolutely. Every year that we do that, those are the best fields that we've ever had. And they are in the best condition they've ever been in. And again, part of what they do is focus on that. So over $10 million worth of projects that are in those areas. Way too small to see here. It'll be on the website, but that's the operating budget and where our money comes from, whether it's sales tax, property tax, operating budget. So these are the expenditures that are public safety, parks and rec, you know, general services, human resources, which is where a lot of our insurance and the different pieces sit for our employees, and then where the money is spent and what percentages that it has. Again, pretty far for a lot of you guys to see, but this will be on the website tomorrow. Almost 50% of the money that we have in the city goes directly to personnel costs. I don't want to, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the trash pandas. You know, the neat thing for us, and you heard Tommy Overcash talk about it, they have played all 63 games that they had scheduled, and this week, unless something dramatically changes, they'll get in their final 6. So this is the last week that the Trash Pandas are in town before the playoffs, which start the following week, and they've made, and we'll add at least one game. And then lastly, all payments from the Trash Pandas and Ball Corps are up to date as of today, and they have not missed a payment. They've kept them going, and we feel really good about what this year's numbers are going to be. Homeplace Park is finished. I wanted to leave that in there because I wanted to remind folks of what, again, was funded last year, and we're continuing and working hard. Part of the reason that, again, funding our chamber at a little higher number not only works for our small businesses, but it works for events that make a difference in our city where we can enjoy that. Football games right now, bands can play there. It's just a neat thing to have. You know, with the building formerly known as Three Springs, again, part of what last year's budget was a little bit of money in there to make sure that we could work on the architectural design. We're getting close to that where we would have the scope of work ready to bring a final design to both council and the community to see, at which point we would then bid that. Once we bid it, we'll know how much it's actually going to cost, and then we would figure out the funding structure that's needed, you know, from there. It's not funded yet because it just don't have an understanding of how much will be needed, but again, something that's 30 acres, 30,000 square feet, and again, something where we can enlarge. No longer is Madison a city for a senior center to just eat, play bingo, and go home. Very, very active community that we're going to transition that into something that's so popular for our city. And then the Kids Kingdom renovation started about a week and a half ago. That's about $1 million project, of which about half of that was raised through donations through Madison Visionary Partners. A very inclusive, renovation that takes what we have. That Jane Dow and her team did a phenomenal job in the late 90s of putting in place, but it was built in the late 90s. A little old. We want to make sure that it's bigger, better, stronger, and that's what we're going to be doing with that. So, again, in where we started, a community that continues to, we work hard as a team, and it's the mayor, the council, the department heads, and the employees that work together to try to make this happen. So I'll be quiet for a minute. Any things that you guys have? I know the Finance Committee currently has this. We'll make a couple of adjustments and eventually get it to the full council, and I think you're looking to vote on this at the next council meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct, and we've got a Finance Committee meeting next week, so that if any council members don't have their questions answered before then, you can come there. Certainly send emails to mayor or to finance to get your questions answered. And then for the members of the public, tomorrow morning you'll get to see spreadsheets. We're going to load that on the finance webpage so that you can see what the proposed budget looks like. I know there are a number of other organizations that have requested an allocation, and so they'll be able to see what the mayor's office is proposing there. And I really want to thank Roger Bellamy for all of your work and the department heads to get this information to the mayor's office a few weeks early so that we could present this to you before we actually vote on it in a couple of weeks.
And when is that Finance Committee meeting for residents to know about? Is it next Tuesday at 10 a.m.?
Yes, next
Just
Tuesday,
to let everyone know. 20th at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
great.
we may move it in here based on what kind of questions I'm receiving. This might be a better venue to try to host something like that.
Very good.
All right. Great. A couple more things. I want to first thank our IT department.